Here is a neat trick that has stuck around for years. We already know how to turn words into vectors. Node2Vec reads a pile of sentences and learns an embedding for every word, just from which words tend to sit near each other. So somebody asked a great question. What if the nodes of a graph could be treated like words, and paths through the graph like sentences? That is Node2Vec from Grover and Leskovec in 2016. It learns a vector for each node using nothing but the graph structure. Let me show you how. The whole method is really just 4 moves, so let us walk the pipeline from the raw graph to a finished embedding. Begin by taking short strolls across the graph. Starting from a node, you wander to a neighbor, then a neighbor of that one over and over for a fixed number of steps. These strolls are deliberately biased, meaning 2 tunable knobs decide whether you tend to stay close to home or roam far afield, and that choice shapes everything downstream. Then treat each walk you generated as if it were a sentence. The nodes visited along the path become the words, in the order you stepped through them. Do this from every node many times, and you end up with a huge corpus of node sentences. Now feed that corpus straight into skipgram Node2Vec, exactly the algorithm originally built for text, unchanged. It learns to predict which nodes tend to appear near each other in the walks, which is precisely the same job it does when predicting which words appear near each other in real sentences. Finally, you read off the result, 1 dense vector per node in the graph. Nodes that kept showing up in similar company along the walks end up close together in the vector space, and those embeddings then power link prediction, node classification, and clustering downstream. To appreciate why people loved this, picture what representing a graph looked like before it. The older path was hand-engineered features. You would sit down and manually design measurements, node degree, centrality scores, triangle counts, and so on, hoping you happened to pick the ones that mattered for your task. It was laborious, it demanded real domain expertise, and it rarely captured everything the graph structure was quietly telling you. Node2Vec flips that whole process around. You run the biased walks, hand them to Node2Vec, and the embeddings simply emerge on their own, with no manual feature engineering required at all. It is simple, it is fast, and years later it remains a genuinely strong baseline for graph representation learning. Underneath the hood, 3 ideas do all the heavy lifting, so keep these in mind as the core of the method. First, biased random walks. Instead of wandering purely at random, the walk is steered, and that steering is the whole secret to controlling what kind of similarity the embeddings end up capturing across the graph. Second, the tunable knobs themselves. A return parameter and an in-out parameter interpolate between staying local, which captures communities so clustered nodes look alike, and roaming outward, which captures structural roles so every hub looks alike no matter where it sits in the graph. Third, it reuses skipgram Node2Vec wholesale. Once your walks are treated as sentences, decades of mature, efficient text embedding machinery simply works out of the box, which is exactly why Node2Vec stays so refreshingly simple to implement, to reason about, and to run at scale. Let us pull it together into 4 takeaways. Node2Vec from Grover and Leskovec in 2016 learns node embeddings purely from graph structure, no node features needed. It generates biased random walks, treats each walk as a sentence, and feeds them to skipgram Node2Vec. Those tunable knobs trade community similarity against structural role similarity, tuning exactly what the embeddings capture about the graph. The result is a simple, strong baseline for link prediction, classification, and clustering. If turning clever ideas like this into plain English sounds useful, that is exactly what we do over at Standarity.com. See you there.